What is going on, everyone? This is episode 1 of Littleroot Lessons, your newest Pokemon VGC podcast. My name is Carter Noble. Joined by us is our fantastic co-host, Carl Wilkin. Carl, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. We're fresh off of my first regionals experience for VGC in Collinsville, and we're going to do some introductions and talk about our history in Pokemon, and probably talk about Collinsville a little bit more in depth from our perspective, and look at the top 16, go over some Pokemon that are fun to play with, that are new to us from Series 3, some stuff that isn't really working, and some other cool, interesting topics. We have a lot planned for this first episode.
Yep, so let's just jump right in, man. When did you start playing Pokemon?
I think I was 9 years old when I got my first Game Boy.
Yeah, I was a little younger than that, I think. I've been playing since Red, Blue, and Yellow. Have been playing religiously basically my entire life. Pokemon's great, man. Pokemon has basically something for everyone at some point, you know?
Yep. I got started with the trading cards when I was like 6 years old. Didn't play. I just collected them because I like the art on them.
Dude, Pokemon art's great.
Then I found out there was an actual like video game, and I was already into video games a lot when I was a kid. So I found a guy at my elementary that wanted an NES console, and he had a Game Boy, and I just like swapped for the Game Boy and had Pokemon Silver in it, and that
cool.
that was my first game, was Pokemon Silver.
That's awesome.
Had no idea what I was doing. I still have said Game Boy in my drawer. I don't have my copy of Silver. It's somewhere at my parents' house, hidden away. But
yeah, my Game Boy is over at my parents', and I know I think last time I played it had Crystal in it, because I was playing it, and I wanted to beat the game with just Abra. Mm-hmm. And I did so in like 4.5 hours or something, so... That was an experience. As for myself, I have played VGC for a couple of years now. Not really in the tournament scene so much though. More so on just like online and on Showdown and stuff. I started in 2018. This was right after Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon came out. So this is the format where we had the extended national decks, I believe, minus Ubers, and Landorus Therian was the best thing you could be doing in this format.
Yeah, I had heard many stories about Landorus just ruining people's lives.
It was a weird experience, man, because it wasn't like the gameplay behind Landorus sucked. But it was still a fun format to play, and it might just be that it was my first, so like I'm always gonna remember it. But it was definitely one of those of, well, it seemed like everyone was playing Landorus, and if you weren't, you had a very good reason to. My first tournament, I played a rain team on the backs of Politoed and Belly Drum Azumarill. Because priority Aquajet was really sweet, especially in the rain. We had a Moongus on it, so we had Rage Powder. Mm-hmm. So like we would do our typical lead was Azumarill and Moongus, Rage Powder plus Belly Drum, and then switch into Toad plus Aquajet. And like from there, the game was over. The downside of this, the downside is we had a very big weakness to bulky grass, or grass in general, because Rage Powder doesn't work against them. Yeah. So that tournament I played against, I think the 9 rounds I played against bulky grass 7 times. The most memorable match of that tournament, I played against Meganium, and I'm just like, alright, well, that thing's massive. I can't actually kill this thing. There is 0% chance of me winning this game. and I died to Meganium. The statistically worst starter there is.
Agreed.
I did a lot of brewing in I guess it was the Sun, the Moon, and the Ultra series. So this is 2019. This is where they allowed Ubers. And one of the big things that like I was on very early, that eventually became pretty widespread was Venusaur. Chlorophyll Venusaur was really good in that format because it could outspeed and OHKO Xerneas. You could deal with Kyogre and Groudon by itself, depending on like if you were able to outplay your opponent, Venusaur could deal with both of them. Because like obviously if they have their own Groudon, you outspeeding can OHKO with Solar Beam. And if they have Kyogre, you have your own Groudon that can then switch in, give you the speed boost for Solar Beam, and then kill them. So Venusaur was really sweet in that format, and I don't actually know how well it performed, but it seemed like in my like online playing, it was kind of good, kind of everywhere. So, so this was Collinsville this past weekend. It was your first VGC tournament. Yep,
very first actual VGC event. Had not played any kind of VGC before that. So we spent like the last 2 months before it prepping and getting everything ready. And we did not do so hot.
You know, man, but in reality though, what we ended up playing 5 of the 6 same Pokemon, I believe, was the final count. You cut Inteleon last minute for Dragapult.
Yep.
So we ended up playing Durant. You played Milotic too as well, right?
No.
What did you cut? So we played 4 of the 6 then.
I don't remember you having Milotic for day 1.
Yeah, we put it together Friday night.
I thought we put it together Saturday night.
No,
because it was going to be for Series 3. Because it paired well with the Sun Team.
I definitely played it on Saturday. I know that.
Then mine was Snorlax over Milotic.
Yep. You. So I played Durant and Milotic, Arcanine, Togekiss, Whimsicott, and Inteleon.
Yep.
You cut Inteleon and Milotic for
Dragapult and Snorlax.
And it was honestly really good. Dynamax Durant is like a hell of a thing. It hits really hard.
Unless they have something that is faster than Durant will OHKO everything.
Yep. But the biggest problem is, like you said, is them outspeeding. If they can outspeed Durant, then it's super frail. So the main idea was for Durant to come in, Dynamax turn 1, and depending on what else you led, either Follow Me or Tailwind, and then just hope that they don't double into Durant, basically.
Yep.
And from there, like, Durant can just sweep and mess with them and do everything you need to. So it was, in all actuality, I think the team was very good. And I think it was a very good call for the weekend too. I legitimately think that all of my losses were my doing and not because I had the wrong team.
Yeah. When we get to top 16, it'll show that we were on the right track a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just there's a lot better players than we were. I think you, me, our friend Quentin who went, and there was someone else. We all got paired against actual like high level competitive players round 1.
Yeah, round 1 I played Ashton Cox, who I believe finished in top 16.
He finished 11th.
He did? Okay.
Yep. I played TJ Digicomo, who is been playing for a very, very, very long time. So long that he pretty much retired from the competitive scene like in 2015, 2016 to be Pokemon staff.
And then came back and started playing
to play.
That's awesome.
And then Quentin got paired against Dallas Regionals champion Aaron Trailer, round 1, who finished just outside top 16 and 18. So
man, that's like this tournament. Like it was 369 players.
Yep.
And I mean, it was awesome. Every minute of this tournament was just fantastic.
Yeah, it was very enjoyable. There was not a bad time had there.
I know we brought a car of 5, and all 5 of us, had been previous Magic players and just been like, knew what to expect from a tournament scene. And I had played Pokemon before, so I knew what I was getting into. It was like, guys, these tournaments are the best tournaments I've ever been to. They are all very laid back. Everyone who is here wants to be here and like isn't playing just to play. Like they aren't playing to to show off, basically. They're here to play and enjoy themselves. Yep. And after talking with everyone on the ride home and that night and everything, it's just like everyone came out of this having fun and enjoying themselves. So that's a very good experience when 4 of the 5 of us this is their first tournament. And, even myself, like, this is my second tournament. And, like, it just shows me that this is how Pokemon tournaments are. They aren't, raging neckbeards who are going to salt off because, you purposely did the thing and you were stalling and you won. Yeah, no, there's none of that. It's just good, high-level play throughout the entire tournament.
Yep. Had a lot of fun matches.
For sure. Memorable match of the weekend was my round 4 opponent, and I cannot remember his name, and I wish I could. He had a team that I know in team preview we were joking around. I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna beat you. And let me pull this up. He brought Dragapult, Rotom Heat, Corsola, Galarian Weezing, Alcremie, and Shuckle.
That's right. That's who this is. Okay.
Yeah. So, game 1, he leads on Rotom and Corsola. I get to do my thing with Durant and just kind of sweep him. Game 2, he leads Alcremie, Dragapult. I did not lead Whimsicott, so I couldn't set up Tailwind to outspeed the Dragapult. So instead I go for Follow Me. We both Dynamax. He Dynamaxes his Dragapult. I go for Max Darkness into it. It doesn't kill. It triggers his weakness policy. And then he uses Decorate off the Alcremie. So now it is +4 in special, +4 in attack. And it's faster than me. I'm just like, well, we are very dead. So that's how game 2 went. Game 3, I lead with Whimsicott, Durant, set up Tailwind, Oko the Dragapult. He still has Alcremie out, brings out Rotom. Durant ends up dying. I end up killing off the Rotom. So it comes down to Arcanine and I think Whimsicott versus Alcremie and Shuckle. And I was joking before game 1, and I'm like, man, I just don't have an answer to this Shuckle. I'm like, if you ever bring it, I'm just dead. I can't beat that. And he ends up bringing it game 3, and when he does, he's like, yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I brought it because I didn't expect to win this match, but here we are. And he power splits with my Arcanine, and then decorates with Alcremie while I'm just sitting over here spamming Heat Wave trying to get some damage off. He then proceeds to knock off my Berry on my Arcanine, because I will tell you now, I had 0 experience playing against Shuckle, so I had no idea what I was going up against. Knock offs my Buried, and then just proceeds to beat me to death with knockoff while I'm trying to snarl it and, just heat wave and try to get some damage off. And his clock was faster than mine, but, when he's also setting up decorates. So it was interesting.
My most memorable match from Collinsville was actually probably round 1 against TJ, mainly because I'm the reason round 1 took an extra 20 minutes to actually get through, because when we locked in our teams, they made me power cycle my switch, which reset the team. So I didn't have any of my changes that I had written down on the team sheet saved, I guess. And when I went into round 1, the team that I saw was not the same team that I had written down on paper. So I had immediately called a judge. 30 minutes later, we finally get it all fixed. I get a warning because there was no competitive advantage or anything like that. And the match 2, because match 1 I was still tilted from messing up and just flustered and really wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. I got countered like every step of the way. Didn't really get a KO on his team. Round 2, I whip out Snorlax, and Snorlax was the mirror breaker there. Yep, it just does such a good job of just slowing the game down and being this really hard thing to deal with.
Yeah, I came over as I think you were starting your second game, and I sat in the row behind you and watched, and just like Snorlax did everything. He's over here, just iron defensing with Corviknight to try to stall out the game, and Snorlax just doesn't care.
Yeah.
When Snorlax gets his belly drum off, he just doesn't care what you do.
Yeah. There's not enough of defense in the world that you can do to stop the Snorlax. But it was cool because it's just like it was a lot of going back and forth with Arcanine Snarls to like lower his damage output and making sure that I could get enough chip damage in and burn the ones I needed to burn and play this supporty slow control game to then get Snorlax in with Follow Me support from Togekiss to get the setup done to proceed to just start smashing people left and right. Another one of my memorable games was a game I won solely through Whimsicott Arcanine. He never even got to see my back two Pokemon because Whimsicott and Arcanine sat there and just snarled and just whittled his team down to nothing because he tried to get Arcanine and I just was faster, so I got to burn out his damage. He was trying to set up, so it was just like Whimsicott gets the lead in and just fake tears, and I keep snarling and fake tears and snarl. Eventually Snarl's doing half health to people because they're -4 special defense. It was a real fun match.
I can't say I got to hear about that one. That's fantastic, man.
That was my win in round 3.
Okay.
When I won my first match was because game 1 I just sat there with Arcanine and Whimsicott and just snarled and stalled him to death.
That's fantastic.
So Arcanine is very high on my Pokemon that are really, really good meter because it just does so many things very, very well.
So, the way that our typical show is going to go, this one is a little different just because, we have introductions and, want you as the listener to meet us, basically. We're introducing ourselves to you. Our typical show is going to be broken down into 4 parts every week. Part 1 is going to be our topic of the week. This week is going to be talking about the Collinsville Regionals. Topic 2 is what we are working on, like team-wise. Topic 3 is going to be what isn't working, and then topic 4 is going to be what is working. So we'll just jump right in here to topic 1 and talk about Collinsville Regional some more. Specifically, top 16 lists.
Yeah.
So congrats to Andrew Ding on the win this weekend. Playing Arcanine, Sylveon, Milotic, Durant, Tyranitar, and Gothitelle. Kind of on the same page that we were of just Durant Dynamaxing is really powerful, especially when you can back it up with like reasonable support. Specifically, like here, he has the Arcanine, Arcanine to back it up. Gothitelle seems really powerful here. I'm assuming he was doing hypnosis stuff with it.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was hypnosis and probably like anti-trick room.
And then I know we got to watch him on camera at one point, and like Tyranitar just like very cleanly cleaned up a couple different games, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Very clean. His Milotic was also just like, you trying to lower my stats, okay, here's Milotic with Muddy Water, and just proceed to smash you all the time.
A mon that I've been really high on since Series 1 came out was Sylveon. Like, specifically, Throat Spray Hyper Voice Sylveon is something that I have been working on a lot, and I think has been really sweet, and I didn't even know Throat Spray was an item until I think you told me. I'm just like, wait, hold on, what does this thing actually do?
Real good.
And, it's been real sweet. The original team was a Gyarados Raichu team that had Hyper Voice plus Hyper Beam Pixelate Sylveon on it. I'm just like, all right, this is sweet.
You're KOing something with that thing, right?
Oh yeah, like
Hyper Beam's got to do it at some point.
Like you get the residual spread damage with Hyper Voice, you get your stat boost with your Throat Spray, and then like if that's not enough, like you can team it up with like Whimsicott to make sure you outspeed everything, plus Helping Hand to make sure you smash everything. You get Fake Tears with Whimsicott as well. So like Sylveon is, I think, kind of overshadowed by the most played Pokemon right now, which is Togekiss. Togekiss being the premier fairy threat in the format is really good. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that Togekiss would be the most played Pokemon at this point, I probably would have laughed at you.
Yeah, Togekiss has probably some of the best support moves in the game with Follow Me and Ally Switch and Yawn and
Togekiss gets Follow Me gets a Ally Switch?
Yep.
What the hell? I didn't actually know that.
Well, now you do. Togekiss is by far probably the most represented Pokemon. It was the most represented Pokemon of Day 2 at Collinsville. We counted 43, right?
Yeah, I counted 43, and I counted it twice. I know there's a couple Vanilluxes in here, and I made sure I didn't count them. Yeah. And I came up with 43.
So it's probably a little bit higher than what it says here at 64.25%. So it's probably closer to 67.
It's probably higher. Yeah, probably closer to 67 to 70%, somewhere in there.
Yeah, but 43 Togekiss out of 64 Pokemon out of 64 teams is a lot.
Yes,
Pokemon
it is
really good, and the teams that don't have it tend to just not run a Fairy type anyway. Or like if they do run a Fairy type, it's like Grimmsnarl, or in Andrew Ding's case is Sylveon as their supporter style Pokemon. We had someone in 9th place running Clefairy as their Fairy type support, which that gets better in Series 3 because we get Friend Guard.
Which they did not in this tournament.
Yeah, you weren't allowed for this. Weren't allowed for it in this one.
So I am really confused about what they're doing with Clefairy compared to Clefable, because like the bulk just doesn't seem worth the Eviolite. Like I think you and I had talked about this a little bit before, where Clefable's bulk is just better than Clefairy's plus Eviolite.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they wanted, what abilities does it get compared to Clefable?
Clefable gets its Magic Guard and something else.
It's Cute, Charm, and Magic Guard.
Yep.
Only Friend Guard is different.
Yep,
Friend Guard becomes unaware.
Unaware for Clefable. Yeah.
And that's really weird. So I'm assuming they're just doing like Magic Guard things?
Maybe. We don't have the actual like sets in here, so we can't really actually like click on it and look at it. But
which is moderately unfortunate, but we'll take whatever data we can get. So
we can usually infer, though, looking through, it's like, oh, this is probably what they were doing because this is probably their role on the team. But going from Andrew Ding's first place list to Wolfie Glick's second place team,
hard trick room
was a real hard trick room with copycatting Lapras, which was really cool.
Interesting.
This was like at the very tail end of the last 2 weeks before we were like getting ready for Collinsville. I ran into copycat like Riolu with Trick Room Hatterene, and that's what they were doing there. It's just like they would Dynamax their Hatterene, use Trick Room, which ends up being Max Guard, and then Copycat will take the next move used and use it. So in this case, it was giving that it reads the Max Guard as Trick Room, so it would be a fast Trick Room setup. Well,
so I'm assuming what they're doing here is instead of Hatterene, they're using Ranunculus.
Yep, Ranunculus gets to do the same kind of thing. You just D-Max, Trick Room. You could also do the same thing with Dusclops. But
but that one you probably don't want to Dynamax.
Yeah, you can just do it anyway. Mimikyu's a good abuser. Rhyperior's also a good abuser, and Togekiss is just good support. Yeah,
Togekiss is just good. Who would have guessed that the best Mon in the game is just good on basically any team?
The problem with this copycat setup is it's real easy to just like figure out because only like a handful of Mons have copycat.
And past that, like something that's really noticeable in doubles, like in best of 3 compared to best of 1, is like gimmicks like that don't always work in best of 3. Like, yeah, you can do it like maybe game 1, but being able to pull it off multiple times,
stealing game 1s is real big because it's just like it takes the momentum out of your opponent. Your opponent's got to go back and figure out, okay, well then they did this game 1, so I got to be prepared for that. And then with the way like Wolfie's team's set up, you can just go into Dusclops and Togekiss and have Rhyperior Mimikyu in the back, and then just go for normal Trick Room setup. And then they over predict and just try to like beat the Lapras, but
and that's something that like I've talked about kind of a little bit with you. Just like like stuff like justified beat up doesn't really work in best of 3. So, like, you need to be able to have a good backup plan.
Yeah.
It's like, like, Arcanine's really good, and, like, it not having Intimidate is probably worse in best of 3 than having it have Justified and then just using Beat Up. So, it's these gimmicks, as I'll refer to them as, it's just, like, not always the best thing you could be doing. Whereas, like, the copycat Trick Room thing is kind of cool. It's definitely something that I have never seen before. So,
going into third place, this one is pretty close to like what we were wanting to do with our team to begin with.
This is pretty close to how I actually started, with the Raichu Gyarados core here, backed up with Durant, Milotic, Togekiss. And then they have a Hydreigon in their last spot, which is actually something I tested in my last spot for quite a while, and was kind of disappointed in. It just didn't really fit the need that I wanted in that slot.
It's super niche to play Hydreigon in anything. So it's just like Hydreigon, it's very limited in its move pool. You have to play a dark move, you have to play a dragon move, and then your last 2 moves are either Earth Power, Flamethrower, or like Hydro Pump.
I didn't know it got Hydro Pump. That's interesting. Does it get Hyper Voice?
No.
Damn. I wanted to throat spray it.
You can run Surf, but like then you're just like residual damage to the rest of your team. So it's just like, do you want to do that? So it just becomes the question of like, do you need ground, water, or fire coverage? Like, do you have to have it? And on his team, he did, so that's why it slots really well. Whereas, like, into other teams, it doesn't do as hot. Especially, like, if you're running, like, Pokemon, if you're running, like, Arcanine already. you don't really need the fire type move because Arcanine does a real good job of being a fire type coverage while still being able to do the support role. You don't really need the ground type move when you're running like Excadrill or Gastrodon because you have that ground coverage anyway. So Hydreigon is cool. It's really fast. It's really powerful. It's just it eats you up your Assault Vest slot a lot of the time, which sucks.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't use other Pokemon that want Assault Vest, like T-Tar, or say like there was another Pokemon I know that I saw it on this list. Oh, Mudsdale's the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mudsdale, Delmise, these all want Assault Vest on them, and playing Hydreigon means you can't play them usually without them. It means you can't usually play those other Pokemon because you don't have Assault Vest. Fourth and fifth are really, really close to each other. Both of them have the same 4 of the same 6. I have no idea if they like teamed together, like planned together, like we did. But
it also could just be that like these 4 are all playable Mons too. So like we have Togekiss, Whimsicott, Arcanine, and Rotom Wash. Like those 4 are all good Mons.
Yeah.
The difference comes down here to the 4th place. Alex Arand has a Duraludon and a Conkeldurr.
Yeah.
And then in 5th, Alberto Lara has a Pachirisu.
That's Togedemaru.
Yeah, there we go. That one. that Pikachu knockoff. And Hydreigon. I'm not going to lie. I have no idea what this Togedemaru is doing.
Togedemaru gets Nuzzle, Fake Out, Spiky Shield, can carry Iron Barbs as an ability, just gets extra damage on it when they attack into it. Also is just like has what's the Zap Zing or whatever its electric type move is. It's physical.
Does it get enough bulk to carry a Rocky Helmet? Probably.
You probably can do that.
I know that's like the thing you used to always do with Ferrothorn is you'd have Iron Barbs plus Rocky Helmet just to get like a lot of damage when they hit you.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know if this thing is frail enough that it just doesn't matter and it has to have like an air balloon or what it was actually doing here.
I know it can die to any like ground type move that gets thrown at it just because it's not that bulky usually.
Yeah, lack of bulk plus a 4 times weakness. I mean that's Durant's problem, is it gets hit by one fire move and it doesn't matter what it is dead.
Yeah, but the thing is Togedemaru has a bunch of other weaknesses Durant doesn't.
Yeah, true. Plus, Durant can Oko like 3/4 of the field, and Togedemaru is here.
Yeah, Togedemaru is just Togedemaru. But I like the Conkeldurr in the 4th place team to round it out instead of playing this Hydreigon.
I definitely like the idea of Duraludon, Conkeldurr over Togedemaru and Hydreigon.
I see a lot of people doing the 3-man cores of here's my grass, fire, water, and my fairy, steel, dragon. And I like Duraludon as your steel dragon because it takes up both slots, leaving you an extra spot to play another mon that you need for coverage, like this Conkeldurr, who does a real good job with either Flame Orb or Assault Vest and can just punch people really hard.
Conkeldurr's really good, man.
Yeah, Conkeldurr's really good. Now that I have my own Flame Orb, I actually I get to use it, and it's really good.
My one complaint about Conkeldurr is it's really, really weak to Togekiss.
Ice Punch, man. It's a hell of a drug.
Gleam don't care.
Yeah, but Conkeldurr is usually tanky enough that it can take one. So.
You know what it can't take? Crit from this Air Slash.
No.
No, it can't.
No, but that's when you just follow me on your own Togekiss and it just goes into that one. So
that's fair. I think it's a very good teammate to Togekiss, and I think without that support, I don't really care for it.
Yeah, Conkeldurr Togekiss pairs up really well because Conkeldurr covers Togekiss' steel weakness with Mach Punch and Close Combat and Drain Punch, and then you get Ice Punch to deal with like other flying types, dragon types if you need to. So
you get Ice Punch, which avoids Lightning Rod if that's a thing. There's nothing that'll punish you really for having an Ice Punch compared to a Thunder Punch.
Yeah.
Whereas there's a lot that can go wrong with a Thunder Punch. The big difference there is Thunder Punch is better against Milotic and Gyarados, whereas Ice Punch is just like kind of not great in that spot.
Yeah, you're just hoping you're just gonna keep hitting them with Drain Punch and hope they don't do enough damage to kill you.
Yep. Yep.
Moving on to the 6th place and probably the most interesting team in the top 8.
Yeah, this is a team that got a lot of talk about when it was on stream. Benji Wang ended up playing Togekiss Seismitoad. That's not even the weirdest part of this team yet.
Yeah, we're not even there yet. That's just part 1.
So we have Seismitoad. We have a Toxtricity, Chandelure, Grimmsnarl, and Conkeldurr. This team is interesting.
So what's cool about this team is it's like soft Trick Room because we get Chandelure, Seismitoad, and Conkeldurr with Togekiss as support. Or you can play this mid-speed control-y game with bulky Pokemon and use Toxtricity as just like a fast sweeper.
Toxtricity gets access to Toxic, correct?
I believe so.
Are we doing Toxic stall things?
You can. It's like not the greatest.
Is that the plan of like our mid-range format? Is just like Toxic stall people?
Not really.
Okay.
You'd much rather just be boom bursting and hype and just like spread damaging them over and over.
I haven't got to watch a lot of coverage from the tournament because we were there, and I've worked all week, so I haven't got to watch a lot of coverage from it. So I wasn't 100% sure what this Toxtricity was actually doing.
Yeah, just normal Toxtricity things. It gets a shit.
Okay.
It gets Gear Shift, which you lead with Togekiss, and you follow me. Gear Shift, so you just get faster and have a special attack boost, and then you just boom burst Throat Spray and just boom burst over and over and over. You just OHKO everything because Punk Rock plus Throat Spray plus Gear Shift or Shift Gear, whatever it's called.
Interesting.
Also running Grimmsnarl for screens to help your Pokemon just survive a little bit longer. You got Conkeldurr to help, again, it's a great pair with Togekiss. It helps out there. Notably, it also helps cover the grass weakness for Seismitoad with Ice Punch. So that's super cool.
Plus, Toxtricity does a lot of work here against, the bulky water types it has coverage against. If there's grass Pokemon running around, specifically Ludicolo or Rotom Mow, it gets poison stabs, so can take care of them that way too.
Yep.
So it seems really interesting. This is a team I'm going to have to go watch and actually see how it plays.
Agreed. We got to see it was on as we were leaving the Convention Center that afternoon.
I remember we were testing Series 3 stuff while the matches were going on and trying to watch, but it kind of drew a crowd, so we didn't get to actually see a whole lot.
Yeah. Moving on to the 7th place and looking through it, this is another one that was just here's this Chandelure for Strict Room things, here's Togekiss Conkeldurr for just shenanigans, and here's Duraludon to just be another damage threat, but we're also playing Inteleon, which...
And that's a mon that we were pretty high on. Oh, I know I was. Evidently you weren't because you dropped it last second, but...
I dropped it last second for Dragapult because Dragapult gets fire damage to kill Durant.
But Inteleon, we did a lot of calcs on it, and it gets access to stuff I was running Expert Belt. Inteleon with Snipe Shot, Ice Beam, Air Slash, and Mud Shot. Mud Shot was there specifically for stuff like Duraludon because it could OHKO a regular Duraludon. because we're max special.
You gotta hope it's not Assault Vest, pretty much.
I thought the calc said we could get Oko even if it was Vest.
If we Dynamax, we get to Oko.
Okay. But
Otherwise,
not if we're regular?
No.
So you're the one who did all the calcs. I just played Pokemon.
Yep, I did all the math and hard stuff. You just got to have all the fun.
Yeah, basically.
Moving on to 8th place, and we'll kind of just fire these off here as we go because it's getting a little bit stretched for time for this first topic already. Justin Ramirez in 8th place. We see pretty much the Arcanine, Whimsicott, Rotom, Wash Core from previous teams. We see Conkeldurr, Duraludon.
So this is really similar to the 4th and 5th place list, except specifically the 4th place list. But instead of Kiss, they're playing Milotic.
Yep.
Which I don't know if I think I would rather have Kiss in that spot.
It's just bulky something other to do stuff with.
Yep.
Kind of where we're at with that.
Bulky nuisance that gets the spread damage and support.
9th place in the hands of Daniel Thorpe. We got a Clefairy in this team, to go along with this Charizard, this Gastrodon, this Rotom Mow, Grimmsnarl, and Galarian Darmanitan.
We get regular Darmanitan in Series 3, don't we?
Yes, we do.
It doesn't do anything compared to Galarian, does it?
Not unless you just have to be Fire type.
Off it. Darmanitan is a mon I worked on quite a bit early on. And I don't think I ended up playing it. I know in testing, there was a match where I forgot that it got access to Flare Blitz. And I specifically remember I didn't make that mistake again. Because not only was it faster than Durant, it also killed me. So I learned very quickly how to play around Darmanitan. Yep. I just, specifically looking at Daniel's team here, I just don't know what this Clefairy is doing.
I don't know.
Like, the core of, like, Charizard plus Gastrodon seems really good. Like, that seems fine.
Life Dew means you get the heal plus special attack boost from your Clefairy on Gastrodon.
Interesting.
Because that's how that works.
Rotom Mow is kind of unimpressive the more I've played with it. Like, when I play against it, it seems good, but when I play with it, I'm just unimpressed and rather have basically anything else in that spot. Yeah. Is that the conclusion you've come to?
Yeah, I have like 5 Rotoms that I've built, and I haven't played with any of them.
Yeah. Charizard's really good. Grimmsnarl's been impressive. Darmanitan hits like a truck, man. So, like, it has good mons here. There's just a couple things I don't fully agree with. Namely, this Clefairy in Series 2 and this Rotom. But, like, Rotom, at this point, is, like, the best grass mon we got access to that's not named Ludicolo in the rain. Yeah. So, I could see it. Moving right on, we have Justin Barnes in 10th playing Kiss, Excadrill, Sylveon, Rotom Wash, Dusclops, and Conkeldurr. Has the Trick Room set up with Dusclops, Conkeldurr. I'm assuming this is just Mold Breaker, Excadrill, just to smash things. And then Sylveon probably doing a decent support sweeper here alongside Togekiss and Rotom as support. So seems fine. I can get down with it. It doesn't seem I don't really think there's anything I would change here. Maybe I could see cutting the Rotom for like another Trick Room sweeper. Because like the rest of the team is really fast. So having another like Trick Room abuser I could get down with.
I would consider both Sylveon and Togekiss to be potentially mid-speed tiers. They like kind of work on a Trick Room. Yeah, both of them are at 80 base.
Oh, I thought they were 60.
No, they're both 80 base. 80 is the mid speed tier in Trick Room.
Oh, Lapras is base 60.
Yeah.
That's why I know that number.
But yeah, so like they are in the mid. They're just at the upper echelon of this is okay for Trick Room. So this team's okay. Like it's built okay for Trick Room. I don't hate Rotom Wash here because you definitely need like a water type Pokemon in here. Specifically, just beat out anything that could like totally just smash Excadrill.
I want this Rotom to be Gastrodon.
I don't hate that, but then you like leave yourself really open to like any grass type move because Excadrill Steel.
Yeah, Excadrill resist. So you have one grass weakness in?
Yeah, your Excadrill's neutral and your...
Togekiss resists, Dusclops resists.
It's okay.
I don't hate it.
11th place, Ashton Cox. We've kind of talked about him a little bit.
Let me tell you what's special about Ashton Cox's team. So in team preview round 1, I see Togekiss, Jellicent, Arcanine, Delmise, Raichu, and Conkeldurr. My first thought while processing this is, alright, you have 3 Mons that really benefit from having Trick Room. But I don't see a Trick Room setter. I don't know what's going on now. So I'm like, alright, I'm just going to lead Durant, and I'm going to lead Whimsicott, and we're just going to Tailwind and outspeed them because they don't have Trick Room. This will be fine. He leads Jellicent and Raichu. I'm like, alright, cool, whatever. That Raichu's gonna fake out, so Whimsicott's just gonna sit here and I'm pretty sure I switched out Whimsicott for something else and Dynamaxed and went for a Max Darkness into the Jellicent. The problem is I didn't kill the Jellicent. No, I Max Quaked into the Raichu. So I didn't kill the Jellicent. Which is when I learned that Jellicent gets Trick Room. And I proceeded to die to a shiny Delmise. And it was glorious. I learned a lot that game. Because I did not know how awesome Delmise's shiny was. And I got to learn that Jellicent gets Trick Room.
Learn all sorts of things that day.
Yeah, it was interesting to say the least. Next up we have Trick Room.
Using Surfetched.
Rhyperior.
Roserade.
Our Trick Room setter is Bronzong.
And we have Trapinch and Togekiss.
I don't know what we're doing with Trapinch.
Arena Trap?
Yeah, but why? If we're already like hard Trick Room, why are we not playing Gothitelle?
Because that's a psychic type.
Yeah, but Bronzong's resistant to... No, it's not resistant to Dark, is it?
It's
not. They
not.
changed that in Gen 6?
Yep. It also is really easy to just beat it up using any ground type or fire type move, depending on which one you have.
Yeah, but then you also have 2 Trick Room setters.
Why do we need to? Roserade's not slow enough for Trick Room. It's in that mid-speed tier of about 80 to 90.
I've always liked Roserade, but it's been not good enough for me to ever try to play.
Yeah. We're literally Trick Room just to be like, oh, they Tailwind, okay, we just Trick Room to beat them.
Be like, alright, we'll stop it.
Yeah, like, this is a soft Trick Room.
Okay. I can get down. Does Bronzong get Perish Song?
No. Not that I remember.
I am confused. I am currently looking it up.
I'm going to keep talking while you do that. 13th place.
No Perish Song.
This is a team that I like a lot because I was trying to break one of the Pokemon for a while. Togekiss, Inteleon, Sylveon, Dusclops, Darmanitan, and Araquanid.
Yeah, I know. I can't tell you how many arachnid brews I got from you. I'm just like, Carl, I don't think this is good, man.
Water bubble, man. Water bubble's so good.
It can't be burnt and has fire damage?
Yeah.
So, like, it's a Trick Room Abuser that's physical that doesn't get shut up by Will-O-Wisp.
Yep.
I mean, I'll let you... Here's your moment to talk about Araquanid, man.
So, Araquanid is super duper cool. Specifically because it gets entrainment. You can give your own Pokemon Water Bubble if you need to. If you're like, say like, the big one I saw was Rhyperior. You could entrain it to give it have fire damage to just like Water Bubble it against opposing Rhyperiors. So your actual like special sweeper can OHKO it. I did it against a thick fat Pokemon so that I could actually like hit it with like actually damage it with ice type moves because that's all I had left. It gets Lunge and or Leech Life as your physical bug type move. You get Liquidation as your water type move. Has really high attack for what it is, like really high base attack, and its speed is you could actually get slower than Torkoal on Araquanid, which is
Good lord, that thing's slow.
Yeah. It's a really good Trick Room counter. Entrainment is really is like a really good move to use, especially if your ability just like does nothing. It can turn off Conkeldurr. So their Flame Orb does nothing and they lose Guts.
What happens if Flame Orb triggers and then you give them Water Bubble?
It will remove the burn.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yep.
Darn. I was hoping you could do that and they just slowly die to their burn.
Nope, it removes the burn.
Lame. Nintendo, fix your game.
You cannot be burned. But yeah, so it's super cool. Pairing it with like Inteleon Darmanitan is a little weird because just like
those are both really fast.
Yeah, they're both really fast. I would have preferred like to see like instead of Darmanitan a physical Trick Room Abuser like Delmise or
Rhyperior, yeah.
One of those two. But it's fine. It apparently did really well because it's 13th place. So
yeah. Moving on to 14th.
Last three teams here.
14th is Hard Sand. This is something that you and I expected a lot of going into the weekend. And I think I saw it exactly once.
I actually saw it a bunch, but
just not across the table.
Yeah.
So this is Togekiss backed up by Tyranitar, Excadrill, Rotom Wash, Grimmsnarl, and Dragapult. The big piece of tech here is Dragapult in Sand is a very good answer to Durant.
Yep.
Which is something that evidently did really well this weekend when Sand did really well at the Oceania Internationals. Like Durant became a very popular answer to that, it seemed like. So to counteract that, to play the step 3 here, the third level play, is to then play Dragapult to beat out Durant.
And then the play after that is to play your own Dragapult and hope you win Speed Ties, which is what I try to do.
Nah, man, you get access to Tailwinds, and they don't. So your Dragapult's then faster. So you're trying to like big brain play the big brain plays.
This is going nowhere fast. Moving on to 15th and 16th, which are kind of similar, which is cool. They're both using the Vanillux and Inteleon leads to just like blizzard people to death.
Yeah, this is something that they did at the Oceania Internationals as well, right? That's something that got really popular there.
Yep.
The big difference here is we have Scrafty, Grimmsnarl, Silvally, and Galarian Weezing versus Colossal, Rotom Mow, and then we have a minor trick room set up here with Dusclops and Conkeldurr.
Yep.
Do we know what type this Silvally is?
No, we do not.
Interesting.
If you haven't got to watch A-Drive's vlog yet from Collinsville, he goes into why he picked like the Dusclops, the Conkeldurr, and he goes over his entire team there. So we're not really going to probably touch on Dan's team too terribly much.
Is that... I didn't realize that was A-Drive. I didn't recognize the last name. Yeah,
so that's A-Drive. If you want to check out his team and have him talk about it, he goes over it in a whole lot of detail on his YouTube video.
I will link that down in the show notes.
Wolfie also went over his team a whole lot, so he probably has a lot more insights than we do about his team.
I'll link both Wolfie's and A-Drive's vlogs basically down in the description. So for those who haven't got to watch those yet, they'll be readily available there.
Looking over the 15th place list, I love this Galarian Weezing. I love it.
Man, it's one that I was kind of high on there for about a week, and then like I just could never figure out how I wanted to build the team around it.
Right? That's always the hard part, is just like you need Pokemon's that abilities, like you want to run neutralizing gas, but
because like it's a really good ability. Yeah.
You don't want to turn off all your abilities. So it's just like, well, then what do we do? So it's cool, like, I guess it's like because like you turn off opposing like intimidates and whatnot, and it's kind of cool like that. Or you
it shuts off Prankster too, right?
Yeah, it turns off Prankster.
Interesting to see it here then with Grimmsnarl.
Yeah, that's why I don't know what it is. It could be Misty Surge and just be setting.
And then that's probably what it is. It's probably Misty Surge, and then like the Grimmsnarls carry like a Misty Seed, so it has a little bit of bulk to it.
Probably.
And then like Grimmsnarl can set up screens, and then they can sweep with whatever's in the back.
Yeah.
I can get down with that. That seems kind of sweet.
Yeah. But yeah, going through the rest of it, not a whole lot of like variety. There's a Muddale team in here. There's a Hippowdon. There's a Butterfree lead in there. A lot of cool Pokemon that showed up this weekend to come to play.
So, interesting note here at 17th place, we have Nate Incinetti, who is the man I lost to playing Meganium.
Full circle. Stories come full circle.
It really does, man. Nate is a very, very great person. He is a fantastic Pokemon player. I met him through Pokemon, and I know he's qualified for Worlds a couple different times now. He's definitely going to just watch out for Nate. He's going to do something well. He's a very, very good player. So, and as I believe his Twitter bio says, he will beat you with Meganium, and I can confirm that. So, anything else here you want to touch on before we move on to topic 2 of the week? Seeing how we're almost an hour in.
I tried to find this Gudra team and see what it was. I can't find. Oh, there it is. So this Gudra team in 49th, I can 100% tell you this is the weakest policy Gudra because they have Ice Shard on their Inteleon.
Interesting.
100% can guarantee these things.
It's because you're in love with Gudra and tried to make this work.
Gumi's one of my favorite Pokemon, and I've been trying. I'm excited for our draft league coming up because I'm going to draft Gumi and I'm going to draft Aegislash. I'm going to beat everybody with them. See,
you say that, but I'm a smash. I don't know with what yet, but I'm a smash.
Sure. You can definitely try.
All right, man. Anything you want to close out on here in Collinsville before we move on with our lives?
No, I got all it out of my system. We can
cool.
Move on.
Closing the tab. Topic number 2. What we are working on. So Series 3 started the last Sunday, so the 1st?
Yep.
1st of March. And with that comes a couple new things. The biggest one so far that I've seen on Showdown is G-Max Lapras.
Yep.
This thing's really powerful.
Oh yeah.
The fact that like it has
super bulky.
It almost has 500 health when it Dynamaxes.
Yeah. That's like Snorlax levels of bulk, by the way. Just
yeah. Except it has the bulk to back it up, whereas Snorlax just punches.
Yeah, we go a full attack on Snorlax so we could actually just like kill things.
Lapras doesn't need it. That's the thing. So what I've been doing with Lapras is weakness policy, which is pretty common at this point, it seems like. Yeah. Policy Lapras seems really powerful. I know, I can't remember who, I saw it on Twitter today, they were talking about playing Shell Armor compared to Water Absorb, so you just like can't be, oops, I killed it.
Yeah,
so,
no crits. So
you don't have to worry about the extra math of, all right, am I dead or not to a crit.
Yeah.
But the big thing we want to touch on this week is how do we answer G-Max Lapras? What do you got?
Haven't really found a good one yet. Venusaur is decent. Anything with Brick Break is decent.
Brick Break seems really powerful because it breaks the screens. Psychic Fangs is also in that same idea. So if you're running something like Dracovish, you may want to switch over to Psychic Fangs compared to Crunch, possibly for now. Or Ice Fangs. I could see cutting Ice Fangs or Crunch.
There's like no good way to just straight up beat it, because once it sets up Aurora Veil, it's gonna reduce the damage coming at it the next attack. So you gotta like have really fast Brick Break into really powerful second move.
The best answer I've found to Lapras is speed. You need to be able to outspeed it, which is not that hard seeing how it has a base 60 speed and doesn't have speed investment. And just doubling into it and just overpowering it compared to letting it do its thing.
Yeah.
I think is the best conclusion I can come up to. Stuff that seems potentially viable. Stuff like Raichu was already like tier 2.5, tier 2, somewhere in there of like playable. I think Raichu gets a little better because it gets access to like Nuzzle, so you can potentially paralyze it on turn 1 into like Brick Break if it does set up screens. Backing that up with something like Tyranitar to be able to Rock Slide it, or like maybe Rhyperior is good. Like if you're going to like worry about like speed controlling it, you could just Trick Room Rhyperior. Trick Room is not something I've seen any of since Series 3 started.
Yeah, no, it's easier to hate out Trick Room because just like everyone's running Trick Room answers anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's like whatever, and then just like some teams are really popular right now because Venusaur and Solar Powered G-Max Charizard are both legal. So you just get to run around and just smash people with that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Trick Room kind of just falls out of favor now that we have better strategies to play with that do different things.
I think it's worth considering. I think it's worth remembering during team composition, but I don't think it's something that you need to have a strict answer to, like it has been in Series 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Besides that, like you mentioned, Venusaur seems really powerful, especially since it gets access to Chlorophyll. If you're doing stuff like that, I've been really impressed with like Sableye quashing things. Is that the attack? Is it quash?
Yep, quash makes them go last.
So like just quash plus like Solar Beam or max Overgrowth, just to be able to put some real pressure on them. Another good answer is just like putting them to sleep so they don't do anything. I think this is where Butterfree gets a little better, where you have Compound Eyes, you're way faster than it, so you can just put it to sleep with Sleep Powder. And there's really, I don't know what gets Electric Terrain as its ability in this gen.
Pinchurchin.
Cool, so not playable.
You'd be surprised.
If it is, I will...
I ran into one.
You know, I'm not actually surprised now.
I ran into Pinturchin and it promptly died. I didn't know what it was supposed to do, but it died.
So getting the big thing is like Lapras is also carrying Thunderbolt and or Thunder, depending on what it wants to do. So you like Yawn does not work. Yawn is not good enough. It needs to be Sleep Powder or Spore, it seems like. So
you need to stop the terrain getting set up for sure.
If you're playing Venusaur, I would consider being Life Orb compared to Vest and having Sleep Powder as an attack, and I would look into playing Butterfree.
Or things with fast brick break.
Yeah, this is all theory crafting right now. This is stuff that we need to work on, and like this is like, you know, we need, if Gmax Lapras is level 1, we need to figure out level 2, which is where we're at. So.
And it might take a while.
Yeah, it could be solved tomorrow. It could be solved next week. It could be solved a month from now. Who knows? Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on with specifically Lapras right now in topic 2?
No. There's not a whole lot of good answers to Lapras. Like, the best thing you can do is just, like, run away to break the Aurora Veil that it sets up and just double into it.
Yep. That's where I'm at right now. Just doubling in, getting like spread damage. Like Rock Slide's really good, but if you're going to Rock Slide, make sure you can kill it with your second hit, because otherwise you're going to trigger its policy.
Yep. Same with anything you hit it with, like Giga Drain, with your Max Overgrowth, with your like Toxtricity has Overdrive, and it can do it too. We get G-Max Toxtricity now. That's kind of cool. Didn't think about that one. We can poison and or paralyze it.
Yeah. G-Max Hattering is also legal, so you can just confuse it and just be like, just stop it, man.
Doesn't Grimmsnarl put things asleep? Or is it Yawn?
I actually don't know the answer to that.
I think Grimmsnarl's is Yawn, and that's not very good.
I know G-Max Grimmsnarl is legal. That doesn't mean I've ever actually played against it, though. Yeah. Topic 3?
Sure.
Topic 3. What isn't working? Basically, things that were really hyped that we've tried and have kind of just failed every time we've seen it.
Rotom would originally fall into this category.
Yep, Rotom I think is a pretty good example of this. Specifically talking like this week and talking Series 3 and moving forward. Something that was pretty hyped and that we did a lot of testing with in the last week is Incineroar. And I just have not been impressed with it.
It's not as good as it was in its original heyday with all the Ubers and whatnot. It's just not as good.
Which is weird to say. The format got quote unquote weaker by not having the Ubers, but in turn, it's not as good.
Well, you're able to fake out Ubers.
Yeah, whereas you can't fake out my Dynamax.
Exactly. You can't fake out the G-Max Lapras sitting across from me that gets to set up Veil. Can't do that. You can't.
And I think that's the biggest thing is like Intimidate's not as good because there's a lot of ways to counter it with like Defiant and Mirror Armor and like if you're going deep, you have Neutralizing Gas from Weezing. There's a lot of ways to counter Intimidate. And on top of that, you have lots of ways to be able to counter Fake Out, may it be Dynamaxing or Psychic Terrain or something like that as well.
Yep.
So it seems every time I've played with Incineroar, my opponent has about 3 answers to it. And every time I play against it, I just don't care about it.
Sounds about right. Incineroar was just like... Fake Out had a lot of like counters anyway because we had Psychic Terrain on Indeedee Female. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of the Pokemon that just like able to Dynamax turn 1, Fake Out doesn't do anything to. So you're having to waste fake out on the support bond, which just feels bad.
Well, also, like, talking about, like, Incineroar in his heyday in the Ubers, like, the Uber metagame, I don't really remember Trick Room being good. And now that Trick Room is, like, okay, your best Trick Room setter is Dusclops, which Fake Out does nothing against.
Yep, can't hit it against Dusclops, can't hit against Jellicent,
can't hit it when it has Indeedee Hatterene as a lead. Like, it just doesn't do anything.
That lead just murders that poor Incineroar.
So that might be one of the big reasons it wasn't good during the Uber tiers, because Fake Out was really good then.
Yeah. So
it's a play of what is going on around it to dictate how good something is. Like we were talking about with Togekiss at the very beginning, it's just like, I didn't anticipate Togekiss being the best thing, yet here we are. You know, it's the most played Mon, looking at multiple tournaments up to now.
So we can look at Pokemon in a vacuum all day, but once it actually like hits the meta and starts actually being played with other things, its role can change. Its how good or bad it is can change.
Yep.
So it's kind of like how like Magic was. It's just like looking at cards in a vacuum is really, really hard. But then once like
context
drops,
is key.
Yeah.
So, any other Mons you want to touch on in topic 3? Anything else that's just been kind of falling on its face?
I was hoping Alolan Ninetales would be good, but with Gmax Lapras just being a thing, Gmax Lapras is just better.
The big thing about Ninetales is it's way faster. So it can set screens before it ever gets hit. The problem is it can also get Fake Out, and you know it's not the fastest thing in the metagame, so it can just get answered before it ever does its thing.
Exactly. Plus, you have to set up snow. You have to set up hail for that, which can be detrimental to your team unless you're running like Inteleon with Blizzard.
Yeah, it was something I worked on for the first couple days after Series 3 got announced. I'm just like, all right, well, let's do Aurora Veil Ninetales plus Gmax Lapras to see how this goes. Just like, I'm going to set my screens one way or another.
Yeah.
And it was okay. It wasn't like the best thing, but I think the big takeaway was Gmax Lapras is really good. So, Ninetales has been cut from that team, and I've moved on to different comps around Lapras.
Yeah, Lapras is just a better Veil setter.
And I think that kind of transitions into topic 4 this week of what is working. You know what Lapras needs, Carl? More bulk. What if the super hard bulky Mon, like the super hard to kill bulky threat, was even harder to kill?
You're talking about Clefairy, right?
I am talking about Friend Guard Clefairy.
Good.
It's been a blast, man. People don't anticipate it. Like, the number of messages I've gotten on Showdown of what are you doing has just been fantastic. You got to watch a couple games before we started recording, and we're just like, well, Clefairy took 30% from that from that attack. And like there was a game where Clefairy was the MVP because it picked up multiple kills. Like
yep.
It's great. Clefairy is great, and I think people are seriously underrating it.
The reason I'm not super duper high, I like Gmax Lapras is cool. It's a cool thing. It's a good Veil setter. I'm just not super high on it because it automatically means that's your D-Max.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like,
for sure.
You are locked into Dynamaxing this Pokemon so you can get up your Aurora Veil. If you do not do that, your team kind of falls apart.
I agree.
It's the same kind of gimmick thing we were talking about earlier, except this gimmick is really, really good.
Yeah. Like,
so it becomes a question of, like, how long until this, like, when they figured out how to beat this gimmick, what happens then? Like, where does Lapras go then? Because then you can't afford to not Dynamax your Lapras.
Yeah, like that's when you need your supporting cast to be all playable too, where like you can't rely on one Mon to carry the game. Whereas like with like Durant comes in, picks up 1 to 2 kills, and that's his job, you know.
Yep.
Whereas Lapras' job is to prevent your opponent from killing you while also picking up kills. And when your opponent has figured out ways to make it where it's getting knocked out consistently, that's when it falls off the face of the earth and proceeds to not be played as widely as it is right now. Because it's a staple. It is going to be played for quite a while. I have no doubt in that.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what can people do to be able to counter it. And like we kind of talked about, it's just like, I don't see a true hard counter to it like there are other mons. Like, there's 1,000 different answers to Incineroar right now, and that's why he's not very good. Whereas stuff like Arcanine has fewer counters and also does the supporting Intimidate role a little better. Mm-hmm. So it's a give and take game, and right now Lapras is taking it all. Oh, yeah. So I have been very impressed with like just cutting down the damage even more on Lapras. Having mind games with Ally Switch and Follow Me. It's like making it where Clefairy can't die because it has like the screens up, and it's been a blast.
Notably now, Lapras gets Sparkling Aria, so you can do throat spray shenanigans with your Lapras now.
Excuse me, I need to go work on this instead. This sounds way more consistent than policy.
So you literally just go Sparkling Aria, and it's 90 damage. It's not Hydro Pump, but the accuracy is a whole lot better than Hydro Pump is.
You got to watch me lose a game because I missed a Hydro Pump, man. You know how this goes. So
now you get like 110 Geyser, I think is what it turns into.
Compared to 140. So that's not a huge difference, but you also get your stat boost from
immediately.
Yeah, from your throat spray compared to trying to have them trigger your policy or you triggering it yourself, which I've never been a fan of the trigger it myself policy plans. Exactly. I just don't think those are good.
So that's kind of just like cool things to think about. It just now it gets Sparkling Aria as a water type move instead of just having to run Hydro Pump because running Surf feels terrible.
Yep, agreed. And unfortunately, Lapras doesn't get Scald. Otherwise, I'd be all over it.
Or Muddy Water, like
either or, yeah.
I would love to have Muddy Water.
But instead, here we are, living in the world where Hydro Pump is the correct thing to play for now.
Yep. Also, notably, that opens up weakness policy to go on other Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool.
Which, if that's the play, then this team I was working on earlier had Assault Vest Tyranitar. So if we're going to do that, then we can move policy back on Tyranitar and just get to just have another threat, man. Yep. It's really good. So that's what I've been working on. Anything you want to touch on this week, man? Anything that's been stand out in your testing?
I've been going the opposite direction. I've been trying to figure out the Sun teams and what to do with them. When we were testing Series 3 at Collinsville, I had Sun Team plus Trick Room, which was
It was really good. It was really good.
And then I'm just like looking around and I'm seeing Incineroar. I'm just like, well, Parting Shot's a problem. So like I have to run Follow Me with my Hatterene all the time now because Parting Shot means I lose my Hatterene.
Mm-hmm.
But you also just like have a weaker Pokemon. Like it hits my opponents weak, it makes them weaker. So it's like it's cool, but I was wanting to set up Trick Room.
Like, please stop.
So I've been trying to like figure out better ways to do the Trick Room part with less Mons. I haven't figured out one yet. I like what setup I have. I like Torkoal. I like Charizard. I like Gastrodon. I like Venusaur. I like the Trick Room setup there, which is good counter to Incineroar. The best way I have to deal with Lapras is just overgrow into it 3 times and hope I can
strength.
get it, just kill it.
You don't have a brick breaker.
No, which that's probably going to change.
Yeah, I would look into swapping something to Rhyperior, because not only does it benefit your Trick Room, but it also gets Brick Break and can. Unfortunately, it can deal with Lapras, kinda, but it cannot be dealt. Like, it gets dealt with by Lapras.
Yeah.
So that's a give and take game of being able to play around it and being able to beat it. So
I was looking at swapping Charizard for anything faster that has Brick Break. Which
you could try Raichu.
Yeah, like Raichu slots into it pretty well. I was also looking at, like you said, swapping Gastrodon for something else. And if I swap Gastrodon and Charizard for Pokemon that are helping me against the Lapras matchup, then because those two, that's why I have Gastrodon, is because I have 2 fire types. So if I don't have the second fire type, I don't really need Gastrodon as the Pokemon that's really there. So I could like have a different water Pokemon that has a little bit less of a weakness to just getting Solar Beamed against.
Yeah, I could see cutting Charizard and cutting Gastrodon, putting in Rhyperior and Raichu. I would try that and see where you get.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I've been working on this past week. Outside of Sun, I've been working on like what I could get in the draft league. We're getting ready to start here on Sunday.
Which I am so excited for, man.
As am I.
I'm pretty excited to be able to not only play Pokemon, but like have a little bit of bragging rights behind it, because it's just going to be our group of basically our testing group playing draft league together, and it's going to be awesome.
And the more people we get in the Discord means the bigger the draft league gets to be.
True. So, shameless Discord plug. Link is down in the show notes. Come join the Discord.
Yeah.
Carl, your job for the rest of the podcast in the foreseeable future is to plug the Discord as many times as possible.
Okay, I can do that.
As shamelessly and as elegantly as you can possibly do it.
I can do that. That's easy. Follow us on Discord.
Yeah, basically.
Littleroot Lessons. We'll have an invite out on our Twitter account probably by the time this episode goes up. If you want to see our drafts and like our battles, we could probably be convinced to show a couple of them and put them up on stream or something.
You could talk me into it.
So
it just depends on work schedules and everything else, but yeah, I am down to have them streamed and everything else. So is this gonna wrap it up this week, man? Is this where we get to the show notes part and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I think this is about the end of it.
All right, man. I think this has been a great first episode, if you want me to be honest. I think we covered a lot of different stuff that we've been working on and was important to us and everything else. So
much better than talking about Magic.
No, for sure, man. This has been a very good break. Magic for the last year sucked. So being able to talk about basically anything else is just awesome. Especially something that like you and I are gonna like have had a passion for ever. So that being said, you can always find us on Twitter. We are at Littleroot Lessons. No, that's not correct. That's too long. That is too long.
Thought we were LR Lessons.
That sounds correct. At LR Lessons on Twitter. Myself at CarterNoble25, and Carl is at musical_33. That is MUZIKL_33, because he's really difficult and has to spell things different.
Hey, get over it.
I'm over it already. You can also find us on Twitter. No. Carl and I are on Twitch. See, you let me have like 2 weeks off, man, so I don't know how to do the outro anymore.
Bud. Come on.
I don't know how to do the outro. You can find us on Twitch as well. I am at Mr. Missouri 25. Carl is at Musical. correct? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Again, I'm out of it, man. We have the Discord link down in the show notes. Anything past that, questions, comments, concerns can also be sent to our email. That is also going to be down in the show notes as well. So if you have information that you want to share with us or questions, comments, concerns, there is a way for you to reach us. So
potential topics, things you want to hear us talk about, give our opinions on.
By all means, we will gladly listen to anything. We will gladly talk about anything and everything, basically. So I think that is going to do it this week for our first episode. I am really excited for the future, man.
Same.
That is going to do it, everybody. Have a good one. We will be back next week to talk about who knows what. Figure that out next week. Have a good one. Peace.